Evening, welcome all. I hope everyone's well. My name is Hughes. I'm from Rebound. As the shirt shows there, I'll talk a bit more about it later. I'm on UpStreamedia's YouTube and Facebook Live channels. Tonight is a GB Live preview special because we obviously got those two games coming up. Before I delve into that, let me introduce my guests. They probably need a little introduction. We've got Ashley Hamilton, you see there, this Plymouth Raiders get up, and obviously Myles Hesson supporting GB Tellers. Welcome, guys. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming on this evening.
Thanks for having us.
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. I feel all athletes of British basketball need that bit of TLC promoting, get that buzz going, get support behind you guys. You've got some good games coming up. I thought I'd start with you, Myles. How's things going? I know you've had an injury recently. How's things your end?
Things are going well. I'm almost 100% recovered now. Hopefully by next week I should be at that 100% and looking forward to the games.
Yeah, and I say if people are new to that, it's you had was it a thumb injury, wasn't it? How did that happen?
Yeah, I fractured my thumb in the last game that we played in Monaco, and just one of those freak injuries, really. Just happy to be on the other side of it now.
Was it one of them ones where you just hit someone by mistake, like going for a rebound or something?
It was big. No, I got caught in his shirt, in his jersey, and just it's like a bone tear. I don't really know what the medical name for it was, but it's good now. It's all healed up.
I think basketball is very common for those sort of freak sort of injuries. Just both of you, really. Is that sort of the most freakish injury you've had, Myles, or was there a different one? Maybe like, how did that happen?
I wish it was, but no, I've had a few injuries in the past that are just, call them freak injuries or whatever. But I'd rather not talk about injuries, to be honest with you.
No. I tell you, it's like, let's talk a bit. We're here for other reasons, aren't we? Ashley, obviously, welcome to the show. You've recently come to Plymouth Raiders. How's that sort of move come about, and how's it going for you?
How's the move come about? It just opportunity, right time, right place. With COVID being the way it is right now, the European market wasn't looking too friendly for me, and the Raiders came by with a good offer, and I've had a good relationship with PJ and Danny for some time now, so it made sense, like it made sense to come down and see what it was about, and it seemed like the right move for myself and my family, so I went ahead and did it, and it's been good so far. I'm obviously dealing with government restrictions here, and then just COVID stuff has meant that the preseason has been a bit weird, a bit delayed. I think we played our first game last Friday, and our team was only together for about 10 days before that, so it's been tough, but we're here now.
That's it. We come out of the tunnel at the other end. Obviously, it's GB Premiership, but I thought we'd just quickly talk about that. So if people want to sort of follow you guys after this weekend, obviously, Myles plays for Ilan Chalon, second season in France. You were saying pre-air, but Elite Basketball carries on. And obviously, we just mentioned Ashley, you're with Plymouth Raiders, BBL, so you guys can follow them during the regular season as well as the international season. I thought when we sort of had this idea to do GB live show, I'd love to know a bit more about your GB story. Ashley, what are some of your earliest GB memories? Either that's from a junior setup or maybe your first time GB jersey.
The first time I played for GB, I think Jeff. I can't believe I just forgot the name. Who was coaching? It was Jeff Foster.
Am I right thinking
from Manchester?
I'm not sure the name, but was it 2010 in Canada? Was it a test match against Canada? Am I right in thinking that? Was that your first game?
Oh, you mean GB men's?
Yeah,
that was my
even junior.
2010.
Yeah,
that was 2010 test match against Canada, and that was my first experience with GB playing for the men's team. The team was completely different back then. Chris Finch was a coach at that time. We had I think we had Pops and Duval in camp. So we had Joel in camp. So it was a different era, and I was one of the young guys in the team at that time. And no, it was just a solid experience just to be around those guys. It was an honor. Like when you get the call up, that to be considered like one of the guys that they want to bring along into the squad. So especially leading up into the Olympics, it was very exciting times. So definitely, it was definitely good. Before that, I played for like the under 23s. I played for the futures, and it's all good experiences there.
And obviously being with the international team for a while, Ashley, and obviously this squad has got a few youngsters coming through. What advice were you given when you were being, sort of initiated GB squad, but you feel you'd pass on to the next generation? Or what advice will you be giving the likes of Cameron Hildreth and co, but in the squad for the first time when you guys meet up in PAL?
You just have to understand that when you come together for the GB window, like it's literally like a new team is being put together, and your role on the GB team might not be the same as your role in the season, and that's simply because like you have a short amount of time. Especially now, back in the day, we used to have like 2-3 weeks training camp before we go into our first game. Now it's like we get together for like 1-2 days and have to play a game. So as soon as the game plan is put together, then you just have to go with it and got to be there, be positive about it, and support your teammates because like everyone's trying to get the win. If that game plan doesn't work, then maybe they change it up next time, and your role might be different. But either way, you got to be prepared for whatever is asked for you, and just be supportive as possible of your teammates. You don't come in there expecting to do this or do that. Just wait your opportunity. Sometimes you gotta wait your opportunity. Sometimes you're gonna have the opportunity to go out there and take it. You never know what happens. It's just either way. Like it's such a short window that you have to come in, be part of the group, uplift the group. Like your job is to uplift the group in some kind of way. That might not be on the court, or that might be on the court. You don't know.
I can definitely understand that, especially as we're talking about the last time you guys were together as February, which feels like a lifetime ago. Would you echo the same sort of message, Myles, what Ashley was saying, or what else would you sort of think advice would be needed for the juniors, but maybe he didn't mention?
Yeah, it's just exactly what you said, really. Coming into a camp like this, which is such a short window, we're probably going to have about 4 or 5 practice sessions before we have to play a game. So it's not going to be a tryout like back when me and Ashley first started playing for the men's team. Like I said, they were like a month long, maybe 2 months. So it was almost like a tryout. So I was going into practice trying to prove myself and do other type of things that were kind of out of the box and wasn't really probably the best for the team at the time. So it's something that you have to learn over time. But but coming into a short camp like this, it's just about buying into the system and the team and just doing what's best for the team and hopefully.
Yeah, guys, can you hear me? I just lost my headphones.
Yeah, we can still hear you. That sounds really interesting. How that sort of you test yourself environment when you guys sort of started out, Myles. What were some of your earliest memories in terms of development, being around those GB players? What sort of how did it affect your game? What were some of the noticeable things you were feeling after a few weeks with the guys?
One of the first memories that sticks out to me was when one of the first practice sessions with the men's team. I went and I actually tried to post Nate Rankin, our coach now, but at the time he was one of the players, a veteran player, and it was a fast break, and I went to post him up, and Chris Finch stopped the practice, blew his whistle, and told me in the not the most polite way, but to get in the corner, and he told me it's not the BBL.
Yeah, so. I can't hear anything. I'll be right back. I can't hear anything.
That's fine. Okay.
Sorry.
That's right. And
that was it.
That's right. You back in a bit. Carry on. So you were saying like how that's really interesting, but in terms of like players around now, to get people have a better idea, so because I know you guys have a WhatsApp group. In terms of like the group of players who are likely to stay on the floor, who are like the characters, who's the joke of the group, who's like the serious one, who's the leader, who's some of the sort of personality maybe people don't know so much. There's not much coverage on the GB stage at the moment.
I mean, Dan's definitely one of our strongest leaders and one of the most serious guys. He's got so much experience and he's played at a high level for such a long time. He's definitely one of our leaders. One of the jokers. It's probably D'Lo. I think we laugh at him more than we laugh with him. But yeah, he's a good character to have around. Always got energy. Always running up and down. I mean, everyone brings their own little piece to the team, and whether it's on the court, off the court, we've all been around each other for quite a while now. Apart from some of the young guys, obviously coming in, but I'm sure they'll be able to find their little role and fit in perfect.
Yeah, and I think actually it's quite a good opportunity because I know we're sort of off air, but this reading the bubble in France, we don't really know what to expect. But actually, for the new guys, that's sort of 24/7 for a week with you guys. So actually, it could be a really good bonding experience. I know we talked about challenges, but maybe what some of the opportunities will that have for you guys, having spent all that time maybe locked into that facility? What could be some of the benefits of that?
It's going to be really intense. I don't think there's going to be much else to be focusing on other than the task that's actually at hand. So it's going to be good for us to be able to lock in and really get together as a team and focus on what we have to do and be ready for the games on the weekend.
I say if you're tuning in and wonder when the games are, there's the games on Friday 27th, which is a week tomorrow, and obviously the one on Sunday 29th. So first you play France, we play Montenegro. Both games streamed live, 6 p.m. local time. I think we're about to get Ashley back. Welcome back. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I thought the headphones were charged, but I left them for a minute.
No, I had, during the first round of lockdown, I moved back to my parents' and was in my little granny flat, and I did my first show then. Halfway through the chat, I thought my laptop was plugged in, but all of a sudden I got a little message saying battery running down. And this laptop doesn't give you much time. Literally, when the message comes on, you got a second.
Yeah.
So I dived across the room, and bless it, I left Elliot Dad on his own in front of an audience of 500 people, and he was a great little guest. He was hosting his own little show for 4 minutes while I was waiting for the laptop. So it happens to all. It's part of the joys of doing live shows. You can't edit it out. We just stop to roll.
Yeah.
Obviously, come back and Myles was just talking a little bit about the squad dynamics. I thought I'd be on to the next question. I'd love to know what does playing for GB mean for you, Ashley?
I mean, like I said before, it's an honor, to be to have your name called, to be on the list of whatever it is, 12, 14, 19 guys, 24 guys that are considered to be in the squad. Obviously you want to play, but it doesn't always happen. But to be in the squad is still an honor. Like it looks good on your resume, on your basketball resume, because as you start going to higher levels, like teams will ask, like, okay, well, how come he's not playing for his national team, or how come you're not in the squad or whatever? So, it all ties in well together, especially the better the team does. And for me, there's an aspect of playing on the team with my friends, like guys like Myles, guys, other guys who like just in different countries, guys we don't get to see each other much. So when we come together, it's it's like a family, it's love. Especially now with this generation, like because we've come up together, we know each other well. We know like the struggles we all been through together and the struggles of being a British basketball player. So to be together in a unit and like to play against other countries and try to achieve something that hasn't really been done before. To me, it's a blessing. It's an amazing achievement.
I see you nodding away, Myles. Is that the same for you? It's great to see you wearing a GB jersey there, a little warm up top. What does play for GB mean for you? Has it changed at all from when maybe you first put the jersey on to now, or has it always meant the same for you?
Yeah, like exactly what Ashley said. Like it's kind of hard to put in words, really, to be it's when you're going through it, and during the time, I don't think we appreciate the level of what's actually happening around us. So I mean, being selected to play for the national team, being like in the top 24 people in the country playing the sport that millions play. I mean, it's not until you look back on it and think, oh wow, like there's not many of us that are going to be able to say that we actually did this. So I mean, every time I put on the jerseys, yeah, can't really put it into words.
Especially, man, you
obviously,
represent a lot. You represent a lot of people. Like like normally, if you're playing for your team, like people are divided. People from the country can be divided or have their own sentiments or whatever. But when you put on the GB jersey, like that's it. That's the team.
I think that's a really good point. I remember I was watching you guys play. I think it was in Newcastle recently. And the atmosphere seemed electric. What was it like playing in front of a packed house and, like you say, all the fans behind you?
That was
You'll
great.
start
That was
Ashley
one of the
and
best.
Myles, yeah,
So
carry on, man.
go ahead. Yeah, that was one of the best games I've been involved in for GB over the years. I mean, it's not a huge arena, but it felt like the biggest arena I've played in. And the crowd were loud, energy was great, and we got the win against Germany. I mean, you couldn't really ask for much more than that.
No, definitely. I mean, especially with GB, like we get to go to a lot of countries where just the national pride is so huge, and basketball is like a big time sport in their country. So to have that type of environment at home, it's always good. I remember a couple of years ago we played. I think we played who we played. We played Finland or Iceland at the Copper Box, and we played someone else too. We ended up losing those games, but still just having everyone come down and just to provide that type of environment. I think it was even better at Newcastle because it was a smaller gym and the crowd was a bit closer. But whenever you can build some kind of home court advantage whilst you're playing for the national team, it's always an amazing feeling.
And obviously, Myles, you said that was one of your favourite moments playing for GB. Ashley, when you look back on some of your time with GB, what have been some of the other standout games for you? I know you mentioned that Copper Box game as well. Are there other games that stick out for you, like games that were really fun to be in, or things went really
I think I,
well?
th- I think one of my funniest games to be in was one of Mars and I's first game together. We played Latvia at Worcester, and that's I think I was coming off the bench, and I think Miles came off the bench too, and we didn't really have big roles in the team at the time, but we just came in and we just went to work and we just had good games, and so that was a fun game. Um, yeah, even this last time when we went to Montenegro, when we were in Montenegro, just the whole build up, like just like the atmosphere and the crowd before the game, like, in the layup lines, like it felt special. It felt special. I mean, they were in there letting off flares or fireworks. It was a hell of an environment. So like you always kind of get those kind of butterflies or those feelings of like it's gonna be a good game, it's gonna be a good environment, like before the game starts. There's been a couple games at the Manchester Arena that I enjoyed. I can't necessarily pick out one, but like I said, like for me, it's just the whole environment, the whole thing of like the guys there together, and especially like when you overcome, like we had a nice stretch where we won 7 games in a row, so that's and there was a time when you came to GB and we played hard, but we didn't win. But like we kind of got used to like we're coming here, we're winning games. So that was a nice environment. That was a nice feeling to have. I think we went to Austria. That was a good game. We went to Austria. We beat Austria in Austria. So we didn't win by the margin that we needed to at the time, but still the fact that we can go somewhere else and not just do it at home, but go somewhere else and go there and play our game and win comfortably. That was a good game too.
And also a big part of the sort of the international, games is that opportunity to go abroad. Have there been sort of games you've been with the guys and it's been like a really good venue, Myles? I know Ashley mentioned a few of them. What are some places you played in with GB but really stand out for you?
I think there was one game in Bosnia that was just crazy, absolutely wild.
That's
Remember
one of
that
the ones I
game?
was talking about. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
that's when Ben Muckford went off. I don't even
He had
think
his
he'd been
big
playing
game.
that well for the whole build up. A few games before that, maybe not played much, but then
He
that
wasn't.
game,
He wasn't even playing. He had like 6 threes that game though.
yeah. The
Wow.
crowd was on him after that. It was a mad game.
Yeah.
But
That game
yeah,
there,
there's
And
like
been a lot of
the
fun.
fans are spitting on us, throwing
Yeah,
coins
it's
at
mad.
us. And after the game, they like I remember this like specifically because after the game, those same fans that were doing all that, they were policing between us and the fans whilst we were sitting on the bench. But after the game, they were asking for autographs. So that was always crazy to me.
Hmm.
yeah, I've heard tales like that. I think Kieran was saying how he was saying like monkey chants and bananas chucked him, but then after the game, the guys coming up to the same guys who had trying those racist, horrible things. I remember today, mate, we were doing that because we respect you so much. It's just something you don't really see in this country. I don't think often, maybe sometimes, but does that? How do you prepare yourself if you're a GB player who's not been to America or not been to prepare yourself for that level of, I don't say passion because it's almost a bit toxic how they're chucking stuff at you, they're calling you names. What's
Yeah.
been done to help you guys prepare for that, or do you just not get prepared for that as a professional?
I mean, sometimes you just don't know how you react to things until you're thrown into the fire. So, I mean, some people might crumble underneath it and not be able to play the game, and then others they thrive in that. I thrive. I like that environment. I'm not going to say I like the racism and stuff like that. I haven't really been exposed to that too much, but I like being the underdog
Hostile.
and yeah, being in a hostile environment. It just makes you play harder and it makes the game more enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely I agree. There's definitely an element of being thrown in the fire. Like they don't prepare you for that. That you'll practice or whatever, but there's certain places they might tell you like, oh, it's a hostile crowd or it's loud in here, so we have to make sure we communicate the calls or whatever. But until you're out there on that court, like, you don't know like some places are different. Like some places, like I said, it might be a smaller gym and the crowd goes straight up that way. Some places it's bigger and it goes out that way, and it's further away. So you never really know like what it's gonna be like. You never know how it's gonna feel like until you're out on that court, make a couple of mistakes or whatever. Like you kind of just have to. As you get older, you learn like like your last mistake is not your biggest mistake. And like if you did something good, that's not like that don't define you either. You just kind of keep going on with it. So if you can have that after that, if you have that attitude, then you'll be fine. Sometimes it means that you make a mistake. A coach might feel that you're not ready. Just don't take it personal. Just be ready for the next opportunity or whatever. But I think it's experience. I think sometimes we take it for granted. Like if you have been playing in leagues where you're playing in front of big crowds all the time, or you're playing in certain type of environments all the time, you might take it for granted. Like I remember when I was playing in smaller leagues and I first started playing in bigger leagues and beating from the bigger crowds, it was like wow, you know. Or like the first time, like my home gym was like a big arena with like lots of fans that came every game, or they were there early before the games, and we had like a specific type of fan clubs. It was a little bit of a like intimidating feeling. I was like, wow, okay, no, I got to play good for these people because they're coming to see me. But again, once you're used to it, it's like it's normal. You just understand that it's basketball at the end of the day. It doesn't matter who's there.
And I appreciate somebody said athletes are very good, sort of having what I call blinker eyes, sort of being able to appreciate that's going on, but sort of focus on the game. But I'd love to know, because obviously you guys have been around the pro circuit for a while, and with that in mind, what do the pro players say to you guys when they come to GB, play this GB, or they play up against you? What are their thoughts about Team GB? I start with Myles. Obviously, actually just mentioned it then.
It's getting better as the years go on. I mean, when I first got out to Europe, there wasn't really a lot of respect for our national team across the board, really. And I think we're building that respect now from through the wins that we've been getting, and just the more notoriety that a few of our guys are playing in high levels, winning games with teams and stuff. And yeah, I think the whole our whole image is on the rise.
And we'll get to the big games a bit, obviously. But with you playing in France, I'm really keen to get the inside track. What are some of your teammates or fellow professionals in the league being sort of talking to you about in the run-up to the game? Have they tried to sort of distract you a bit, or have they tried to get the inside track? What's the sort of the French pros' approach to you as they head into this bubble?
I mean, we haven't been playing games, so it's just been some of the guys on my team that I've been able to go back and forth with. One of them is the French national team legend, Mike Jelabal, and yeah, he's very prideful, so he obviously wants France to do well. But he's cool about it. I mean, he wants me to play well. He wants our team to do well. But obviously, at the end of the day, French people are really behind anything to do with their country. So I don't think they'll be rooting for me too much.
No, I've got experience at my uncle. He's English, but moved out to France, and he's been there 10, 11 years now. And I think he's got to the point where he thinks in French, because if you talk to him offhand, he'll reply in French even if you speak to him in English. And I know even when England play France, I know like he'll say to me, "Yes, Chris, I'm supporting England," but in my head I'm like, "No, he's supporting France that little bit more. He's a bit more excitement." I think it's something about France that sort of makes you that patriotism. Actually, go on to question I asked Myles, what are your experience in terms of on the pro circuit, people's perceptions of GB or playing GB in particular?
Like Myles said, it's getting better. You know, definitely. Like when we turned pro, around the time when we was coming out, wasn't a lot of respect for British players. Even I mean, there's still an element of it like you're fighting an uphill battle to kind of get certain type of opportunities. We're looked at as at the elite level like a poor man's American, and then at the when you're first trying to get an opportunity, you're like a poor man's European or poor like you're not quite seen as a European, you're not quite seen as an American. So like when you're in their country, you're not a national and you're not an American. Like they either want to pay an expensive American or get a young, cheaper American, or pay one of their nationals in their country. So we are always fighting an uphill battle because they're like British players, British basketball is not that good. That's the general conception. Now, because British guys tend to do well in their leagues, wherever they are in Europe or around the world, there is a bit more respect now. Like say, like if someone else was to go to France, like off the back of guys' reputation like Myles and Ovi recently, then it's going to help, and so on and so on, like for whatever country you're in. So it gets better, but then the thought process was like, okay, so if these guys are doing well in our countries or in different countries, why is the national team not doing well? So as we started winning more games with the national team, it kind of like it started coming together, like the respect for the individual players and the respect for the country. But now it's like, okay, well, why isn't your league better? Why don't guys come to your league, or why aren't guys getting paid in your league, or are guys not getting their money or whatever? So I think that'll be the last chapter. We have to the individual players have to continue to do well. The national team has to do well. Then we have to get our home league better and consistent. And I think it will change the general conception because we've fought a lot. I know Myles has, and I have too. Like like just to have what we have now, that we fought a lot of battles just to kind of be respected or get a little bit of respect in these different countries that we've been in.
And if you had to label it as like the organisation or the fans or the media presence, who's sometimes like the biggest challenge in terms of getting that respect?
I think it's everything.
Yeah.
I think it's everything.
Sorry.
It's a combination of everything. It's just history, isn't it? Like, if there's no history, then people go off what they know. Like if the fans don't know any British players, and then they find out they signed a British player, they're gonna be like, "Oh, who's this guy?" Until you come in and you prove yourself. The organization might know a little bit more, but they're not the media. The fans and the media kind of like are the people who talk about stuff.
Yeah, and it's a lot to do with the coaches and GMs as well. So, I mean, when I first moved over to France, I think the rule that they had over here was I think they could have 5 Americans and then 1 European. So for the spot that I got, I was taking a European's position basically, and at the time I think I was the only British guy in the league. And even when you sign and then you hear them like, oh yeah, we took a chance on you. We don't normally sign
Yeah,
British players. They've got a reputation of
yeah,
being soft and this, that, and the other. And that's the type of I still hear it today. Like I've been here for this is my 5th season, and I even get old coaches calling me about players that they might be signing or something like this. And what do you think of him? I mean, can he play in this? I'm like, I don't know if you do this for another American player or a European guy to say, but like the reputation is getting better. Like as you said, the better that we do individually in the leagues that we're in, and as a whole, as a national team, them type of conversations are going to be a bit less negative, and it's going to be more. There's going to be more of us being able to play out here and stuff.
I say as a fan, it's really interesting to hear that. There's a lot of conversation like here. Like I kind of want to put a more positive spin to say promote what you guys are doing. And you mentioned it, both mentioned it, but there's like players out there who are doing some good work, and I do feel that sometimes in terms of in Britain back here, a lot of the people who are doing well abroad don't necessarily get the praises sung. So I'd love you both to sort of tell me a few players playing abroad who you feel maybe I've undervalued in terms of their own organisation, but also maybe in terms of their following back home. Do you start, Myles?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you're not active on your social medias, personal social media, I don't really think there's a lot of other coverage. There's a few guys out there that are doing a great job, like HoopsFix, yourself. Who else? There's a lot of guys now that are shining a good light on us and doing a good job for that. I mean, Gabe Hesson is one of the best big men in Europe, and
Premier.
yeah, like for real, he's one of the best big men in Europe, and he's not active as much promoting himself on his own social media, so you probably don't really hear much about what he's doing. But I mean, if you follow him, then you'll see the type of numbers he puts up day in, day out. And yeah, just guys like that, they need to, like you said, they need to be praised more for what they're doing, especially in the British media.
Anyone you like to add to that list, Ashley?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I could really name anyone from that's in the GB squad. To be honest with you, there's a couple other guys overseas, and I mean, there's even guys that's like in leagues like Liv Silver, like a guy like Josh Steele, working hard. I think you have to like get my phone out and take a look because there's just so many guys overseas. But it's like Myles said, without things like this, without without HoopsFix, who've been doing it for years, without all the other
Dave Owen,
sites,
Dave Owen as
Dave
well.
Owen, of course, can never forget Dave Owen. Without everyone popping up now and that putting effort into that, and it's difficult for the public to really know about us and what we do in our journeys. It's definitely, I think it comes twofold that we have to do our part and provide something to be talked about. But to be honest with you, it's been we've had good players from the British Isles from GB for years now. It's just like the media side of it is catching up now too. So like yeah, like Myles said, like I don't think people understand how good of a big Gabe is. Like he's had like I mean his Eurobasket his last Eurobasket was like amazing, and some of the things he's done for his team for club is amazing. It just again the way it works out is like just because you're playing amazing in Europe doesn't mean you're gonna have an amazing statistical window for GB simply because of how the matchups are or how things work out. But he's definitely one of the best bigs in Europe, and he consistently plays in one of the best teams and best leagues in Europe, and he's sought after all the time. And I mean, um, yeah, we got a lot of good players, man. You really just have to kind of like look down the GB list and then really take a look at the players individually, see what they're doing, and then dig further. There's guys who haven't been called up to GB, guys who haven't really been given GB opportunities yet for whatever reason. But there's so many guys that were doing well and representing very well.
So I really appreciate the selflessness for you guys actually, shouted out your peers who maybe, like you say, don't have that big social media following, or maybe just on people's radars. They're not playing in leagues that are watching. So hats off to you guys for doing that. And I do agree with what you're saying, Miles. If you don't have that big social media following, it's hard to sort of know sometimes, especially in this day and age where everything's videos, videos, videos. It's so easy for a player who's really talented, maybe just have that skill set to do that. And actually, I think you've done a really good job in sort of trying to champion small content creators or players how to improve a brand. And I'd love for you to give you like little 5 minutes of advice, maybe as a player or a content creator out there who wants a bit of advice. So I think you've got some really good strategies and ideas in terms of building your brand.
Yeah, man. I mean, just kind of stuff that I've been doing, like to give myself opportunities over the years. I think, to be honest, I think Myles is the first person that I met who was like making their own highlight tapes. Like to this day, like Myles, he'll get his game tape after the games, cut them up, and put them together. Because there was always a point where like you have to. That was like your promotional package, especially back in the day. Like you make your connections. You meet people. A big part of it is just like how are you as an individual? How do people talk about you when you're not there behind your back? Is he a hard worker? Because a lot of guys don't understand that, like coaches and teams and people talk about them like, oh no, this guy, like he was like this, he was like that, or whatever. So if you can do that, you make those connections, and you put packages together of yourself. Like now you have social media where everything could be in one place, or people can reach you, or you can reach out to people. But just things like that. Like so, I just took it upon myself just to talk, to get people to start talking about, like it's okay, like talk about what you do, talk, put yourself out there, especially if you're looking to, you know, um, go into another field or go into another area or show something that you're doing, or promote yourself differently. I remember some years ago, I forgot who it was. It was actually Alberto when he was an assistant coach with Joe Ponte. He told me that, like, as we move into the future, that players have to find ways to promote themselves differently. And I mean, when he told me that, I didn't really know what he meant. But now, like, I kind of understand that, especially if you want to build your profile, you have to do these type of things. Like when you're in another country, like teams have social media teams, and they kind of do it for you. And as a player, like the players we know about in the world are guys like, like the big players like LeBron, KD, Steph Curry, but they have like a system that's there for them, that's already inbuilt. We don't have that in the UK. We're working on it, but the only way it's good, like players have to do their part for the most part. So there's a lot of work that's to be put in. There's a lot of lot of information there that has to be learned. Strategies, but just taking the time to kind of learn about social media a little bit and learn about and 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 sharing. You got to share. You got to share with people. Be candid. Be willing to talk to people. And like I said, the most important thing is being a people's person. If you can be a people's person, if you can, it doesn't mean you have to, like, some people dance and some people some people are funny and some people just talk. Just be yourself. Put yourself out there. Give yourself opportunity. So especially that like I said, as British players, we have to do a little bit more than the next guy. So and it's just how it is.
Yeah, I think that's very wise words. And a few players I spoke to, they said about how they think a players' union would be good because it's really hard. Because if you're a youngster, your coach probably look at the numbers in terms of sending kids to the USA. If you're a really talented youngster, maybe the drive for you to be self-promoted is not really there because people are doing it for you. Myles, someone who actually said sort of did their own mixtapes. Who was the voice out there who was saying, be be that change? What sort of drove you to sort of be sort of self-promoting yourself, sort of well, maybe people weren't doing that?
It was more just like a decision I made by myself, to be honest. I don't know, like coming from Birmingham, there's not really as many opportunities as you might get in other places in the country. I don't know, and I don't know. I wanted to play at the highest level I could play at, so I knew that I needed to be able to show the best of me. So whenever I could, I got my game tapes, cut them up, made highlight tapes, put them on YouTube or whatever the platform was at the time, and just tried to work my way out. Send it to coaches, send it to agents, all that type of stuff, and that's just something I still do to this day. I don't send it out no more. I just every now and then just to make a highlight tape, just to throw it out on YouTube for people to watch.
Yeah, I've definitely it's like a journey where you change tack or change spin. How quickly did you notice difference? Just when I've sort of done strategy to make a difference, the ones that be really positive, you get positive feedback straight away. Did it take a bit of a while, or did maybe after the first tape did you get some real positive responses straight away, Myles?
Not really. I mean, most of them barely had any views because I didn't really promote them as such for public viewing at the time. It was more of a professional thing where I could send it out to a coach or something like that, and then it wasn't until I think HoopFix started when was that, like 09, and then a few of them ended up on there, and then more people started watching them. And nowadays, like social media, you can put something on your Instagram and have 3,000 people watching it in like one day. Before, I don't think I had like 3,000 people have watched the videos that I've put on YouTube over the last 10 years. I don't know, but it's
Yeah,
definitely changing.
yeah. That my highlights, like I think even to now, like they might have like under 100 views, but it's because it's normally like teams are seeing them and or they're going straight to coaches, they're going straight to agents or whatever, or agents passing it on to certain people. And even then, like those people are kind of they're going to take it with a pinch of salt. They don't necessarily want to see your highlight tape. They want to see your games. But the highlight tape is more for, I guess, the media aspect of it, your own personal brand aspect of it, like building like your own platform, your own personal platform. So it takes time. It's just something else that you put out there, and it shows that you are good at what you do. You have moments in what you do, and I think that's really what's helped me, get a few jobs outside of my usual basketball contracts in terms of modeling or choreography or whatever, because these people are seeing these things that they would like, and they would like to bring a professional basketball player in to do it. So, they might see the highlight, and that's what helps me in that aspect rather than my professional life.
And yeah, I totally agree with what you say, guys. Obviously, shout out to HoopStreamedia, they're sort of trailblazers for like myself and other people out there who shows the way we're sort of following in their footsteps, try and make the game better. I'm really keen from a basketball point of view, Myles. Who were sort of maybe the players you looked up to before we sort of start looking a bit more depth for next week's opposition?
Um, when I first started playing basketball, I said this in an interview the other day. Is one of my best friends now, but at the time we weren't really that close. But Martin Gale, as a junior, was one of the best players I'd ever seen. And when I first started playing, I think I was 14. He was the same age, and he was already playing for like the men's Division 2 team and all this type of stuff at a young age. And he was really someone that I wanted to be as good as. And then going on from there, Stephen Hansel, another Birmingham legend. Um, who else? Luol Deng, obviously. Drew Sullivan. And yeah, as I got older, those guys really, I was able to play with them and against them in practices a few times for the men's team. And it was just, yeah, those are the guys that I looked up to personally. you obviously have your NBA guys that everyone's got their favorite NBA players. Like mine's Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. Them three was really my three favorite players at the time.
And Ashley, so who were sort of the players who inspired you when you started your basketball journey? Who you looked up through for advice, or were just sort of players you sort of inspired you to get into the game?
The guy who really got me like wanting to play basketball and practice basketball was Skip to Malou, Ray for Alston. And that's from the N1 mixtapes. And from there, like I started, made me kind of like start researching basketball and start seeing what was out there. And then I found streetball.co.uk with Greg Tanner. So shout out to Greg, like, and I always let him know that he had such a big influence in my um basketball story and my upbringing, and just seeing everything he had built over there, the platform he built there. Um, Jimmy from the crowd, who's one of my good friends now, he was like another guy who kind of like made me want to play basketball. The simple fact that his story is he was on the sideline and there was a guy, one of the teams was missing someone, and he came in and just he was amazing. So I wanted that. I wanted to be, the guy who came late to the game, but like he was a good player. He was an asset, and from there, Tracy McGrady was my favorite player, and I wanted to model my game around him. And from there, like I started going to Towers, and then that's the first time I really became around professional basketball players. And I said this before too. Like Omar Sneed was my favorite player. He was like a Carmelo. He went to Memphis, came to Towers. I think he got drafted in the second round, or maybe he went undrafted. I can't remember. But he had that Carmelo game. He was a 3-4, 4-3. Could play inside, could play outside. It's tough, and I just I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be like him. That's the first person that wasn't in the NBA or anything else that I could like tangibly see him and be like, wow, like this is something who I want to be like. I remember UConn came to play Towers one year, and Jim Calhoun brought Rudy Gay. He was a freshman, and when I saw him, like he was tall, he was 6'9", and he was playing a three, and just from T Mac being my favorite player back in the day, like from my favorite players were like the wings who could play different positions, so like a T Mac, LeBron, and then Carmelo also. So just to see these people now, not just like NBA people, but to see people in front of me and like I meet them, talk to them. It was a major inspiration, and just made me realize like, oh, I need these guys are normal people, like flesh and bone, just like me. I can do this.
I say it's really interesting to hear about players who inspired players who maybe I look up as a fan, or maybe other people look up to. It's, I think especially with like what you guys are saying, but especially abroad, this whole thing, but we're not respected in terms of GB basketball. But I think if we learn our heritage, learn the history and the names and the stories, I think as well, people learn so much. We were saying earlier about how you say how important it is to build your brand, and I think if we don't tell the stories of you guys or the guys who came before you, we won't learn. So hopefully we just keep building the momentum you guys have started already recently. And obviously, what better way to do that is on the court next week, getting the two wins against Montenegro and France. France, I believe, play on Friday, 6 p.m. Myles, give us a bit of the inside tack. Who's some players to look out for? What can we expect as a British viewer at home? What can we expect from France?
The French national team is going to be a good game. It's going to be a tough game. We've got a lot of good players. I don't really know what the final 12 is going to be, or the starting five, but they're going to be very athletic, but also quite skilled. I think they're a lot like us as far as the style of play that they play with. It's not really the typical European style of play with a lot of pick and rolls and slow post ups and stuff. It's going to be a lot of transition, and yeah, I think we match up well with them.
And Ashley, any other thoughts about France at all? Are you relying on Myles' inside knowledge there?
I mean, Myles definitely has got the inside knowledge, but you can always expect France to be physical and athletic, and their players, like I said, they're experienced in this field, in this avenue, in this arena. Whereas, like, we have some experience there, but like they have guys who've played in World Cup, Euro baskets consistently, World Championships last couple of years. They understand the European game. Like the referees might know them a little bit better than they know us, which also makes a big difference too. So, big part of the European game is fouls. Using your fouls that way. Like they're all gonna understand. Like it's better. They'll take their 2 fouls and sit on the bench in the first quarter if it's gonna stop us from getting our momentum. So they have that type of experience. They have that note that vision for the game. They're gonna make the game. They're gonna do everything they can to make sure that they play their game rather than our game and let us play freely. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be a tough one.
So as I said earlier, if you want to watch that game, look out for what the Myles and Ashley sort of insinuated that we might see for France team. You can 6 p.m. local time, which I think means 7 p.m. here on the FIBA YouTube channel. I'm sure we'll all be behind you. Wish you the best of luck. Montenegro, I know we talked a bit pre-air, and you were saying it's hard to sort of predict who's don't play, but let's say they is a similar team to what you guys faced in Montenegro. What was that team like to play against? Start with you, Ashley.
Um, it was I would say a bit more of a classic European team. They didn't necessarily play fast, but very deliberate. They played through their point guard was Justin Cobbs, who is actually an American, but he's got a Montenegrin passport. He actually played with Myles a couple of years ago in the French league. So it was mainly like he's playing a lot of pick and roll. They had a big guy who's huge actually. I forgot his name, but he plays in China. Very dominant in the post, and then they just surrounded those two with shooters. So I guess a little bit of the NBA style, really. A little pick and roll, big guy shooters, and just lived off that. So which meant it was not easier for us to guard, but since the big guy was so big, but we knew what we had to do, and we knew how to attack him. So once we had that pick and roll under control, then we just had to try and make sure we got to shooters. And like I said, we had that game. We just ended up giving it away. Like a couple of mistakes here, a couple of mistakes there. Not using our fouls the right way. But to be honest with you, that's going to be another tough game. Like it's another experienced team, another team of guys who've been playing in European competitions and international competitions for years. So that's going to be another tough one too.
And Myles, we were sort of talking how it was a bit like a bubble experience. What was that like playing in Montenegro? Because obviously that was your last, as a group, last away trip of recent times.
Yeah, like we said before, I mean, we was in a nice hotel. Everyone had their own rooms. We had a practice facility right at the hotel, so we didn't really have to leave the facility. So yeah, going into this bubble in Po, I think it's gonna be pretty similar. The hotel's just a short walk away from the arena, and don't know really what to expect. I think it might be a bit strict as far as being able to leave. We're not allowed to leave. People not allowed to come in, and yeah, it's going to be a new experience for all of us.
Yeah, we have to see what that experience is like. I must have a shout out to GB Basketball social media. I felt actually the last window for the ladies, they did really good content, so maybe they'll carry it on the men and maybe we get a little inside track to see how you guys getting on. And we'll be all behind you. That game against Montenegro's on the 29th again, 6 p.m. local time, 7 p.m. English time. Final bit about that group. So obviously, you got yourselves, France, Germany, Montenegro. All teams play 4 games. I think you're all tied on 3 points. It's going to be a very close running game. We've talked a bit about France and Montenegro. Obviously, the last game on GB Shore was against that win versus Germany. We talked a bit about the atmosphere of Newcastle. But as a team, what problems did Germany cause you? And what do you think they did do in this window as well?
I think
we don't
go
go on.
I was gonna say they shot. I think they beat France in the last window, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you never know what to expect with the. You don't really know what to expect with any of these teams at the moment. To be honest, like I said, we don't know who's going to be there, what the final 12 is going to be, and it all comes down to who's going to play best on the day. And yeah, that's how it's going to be.
I think you mentioned that before. Apologies if I asked you a similar question. But is that because of the fact that now the international window is so far few between, or is it because the team news not being posted regularly? Is it just because of how the international windows are at the moment? Or has it always been
Yeah,
that way?
it's
I,
down
th- I
to the
think
windows because.
yeah,
Go ahead.
definitely because teams are coming together in a short amount of time. Like literally, you're like for me personally, I play on Sunday and then I go to camp on Monday, and we've got a game in a couple of days, and it's like that for almost all the teams. So you don't know, like guys might be coming in with a couple of knocks. Guys, everyone's coming from different places. Like everyone has to learn the plays. Everyone has to, it's whoever can adapt the quickest in that moment, and then one team has a bad day, or like the European game is so much more than who's shooting the ball well or who's. I mean, obviously the game. Like, if you shoot the ball well, you can have a good chance to win. But there's a lot of other factors that go into it, just like in terms of physicality. Really, I mean, like if you're the aggressor, you have a good chance to win the game, which means that any given day, like anything can happen.
Yeah, no. For people who maybe missed it earlier, the guys travel out to Pau, France on Monday. I mean, obviously, you mentioned about the game pile up yourself, Ashley. You guys head to Surrey Storches away Friday night, so you play Friday. You use your sort of rest period, then you're back out again. So it's going to be a busy time. I really appreciate you both coming on the show and saying, like I say, you got a game tomorrow. And, Myles, you guys got to get ready for the international windows. I really appreciate you both coming on and hope you both stay safe. And we wish you all the best and hope you guys come back with 2 wins this week from the bubble.
Thanks very much,
Thank
man.
you,
Thanks
thank
for
you,
having us.
thank you. Looking
Okay.
forward to it, man.
We'll be watching. Stay safe, guys, and have a great evening, everyone.
Nice one.